Hello there, my dear lovely viewers, welcome to the build, which this time is dedicated to all those of you who keep pestering me about making more vanilla builds. It's not pure vanilla, but as close as I can make it without suffering. So it only requires Vokrii, and even without it, you will only lose like one neat functionality, known as the Lion's Arrow perk. Everything else should be more or less doable in vanilla with some tweaks to the perk list. Are you happy now? Are you satisfied?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
The concept involves a backstory of a Nord girl who always wanted to fit in the Nordic society, make her pa and ma proud, but never could. She was rather feeble and insecure, and her hobbies were weird, like alchemy and magic. Who does that? In her late teens, she decided to try the College of Winterhold, but was rejected at the entrance because of some stupid test. She fell in love with the sad story and atmosphere of the Winterhold town and decided to stay close. Soon she discovered there is at least one or two things she doesn't suck at: hunting and archery, which of course some people deem a coward's way of fighting, so she was again not really appreciated. She decided to live in the wilderness for a little bit and hunt and harvest her own food, while trying to learn some rudimentary magic to try again with the college. As her story starts, she is getting close to that point in life, and she is also about to discover a very special role she has to play in Skyrim's history. Her confidence will finally start to build up. Hey, stunning and brave. Gameplay-wise, she's a combat archer with some magic bits, specializing in frost magic, which can slow her enemies down, and poison crafting, with her favorite recipe also being able to slow down her opponents, as well as make them weaker to magic. With the mobility of light armor and one word whirlwind sprint, she will be able to stay away from the enemies while peppering them with arrows. Her gear is rather simple and easy to find or craft, even without many perks. This is on purpose, as I wanted the build to be rather simple and to become rather functional rather early. Feel free to add some more advanced gear at your own discretion. No need for the list of mods, as we only use Vokrii. There is also a white fur cloak on her from Cloaks and Capes, but it is purely decorative. It doesn't matter for her combat efficiency at all. The race of our winter bow is a Nord. It suits her backstory, and that's the main reason. Protecting your stamina against frost spells can also prove useful early game. A Breton, a wood elf, a high elf are all good choices for her. A high elf could use the racial bonus to magicka with the Atronach stone bonus and completely ignore magicka on level ups, meaning more health, which with the armor rating of approximately 300 and something is a rather good idea. So yes, the standing stone is the Atronach, and not only for the Fudge Muppet reasons, but also for the extra 50 points of magicka. It means more health, as mentioned, but also one more enchantment slot for Fortify Archery instead of Fortify Magicka. Combat archers usually need to put Fortify Archery on every available slot, that's just their life. The attribute spread is a little bit troublesome. I ended up with something like 3 points of health per 2 of stamina per 1 of Magicka. Something like, meaning you need your base magicka to be at 190 to be able to dual cast Frost Cloak each fight, which is our main use for magicka. That's assuming you have the Atronach stone, so 240 total, and you will absolutely never need more than 250 stamina. For the main skills, we have archery, light armor, destruction, speech, and smithing. We literally need only 2 perks in smithing, steel smithing and arcane blacksmith, so that we can squeeze some value out of our mostly early game gear. I also care about her roleplay so much, I needed 1 perk in enchanting the mastery, so that my Winterhold armor can hold some decent enchantment. Just the mastery in sneak can also be quite helpful when wearing the Predator's Grace. With the perfect muffle, mastery can allow you to fire some sneak shots from the distance. They will only deal the double normal damage, but it can be just what you need to make a fight go faster. Also, When an enemy is paralyzed via poison, or the Frost Destruction perks, or the Dragonborn Frost ability, or the Ice form Shout, all of which you should eventually acquire with this build, well, they can't really look for you, as they are completely helpless. So even without great many sneak perks, you will be able to move away and hide again, even mid-combat, and then fire off some more double damage sneak shots. Now for the perks you absolutely have to have, let's look at the archery tree first. We take most of the perks here, both the far range and short range branches. The ranger for mobility, of course, as we want to have a complete and utter movement freedom while taking all such freedom away from the bad guys. Also power shot and quick shot. A hunting bow shoots faster than most bows, so I stayed with one for the entire playthrough. With quick shot and slow time shout you can obviously turn your enemies into pincushions before they can save us. Gore, as per usual, is going to be an extremely satisfying mean of crowd control, especially with your mobility and shooting speed, meaning most of the hard-hitting melee fighters will never be able to reach you. In the end, you will be slowing them down in two different ways, pushing them away if they attempt a power attack, and have a chance to freeze them solid. All of that in one shot! This is a roleplay build, by the way. The power is irrelevant. That's all. It's all about immersion. Shut up! Shut up! Leave me alone. And we will also have the funny perk, you know the funny perk, yeah, arrow to the knee. Pinning shot at the top will be slowing down your enemies with each shot. No, sorry, I lied there, I lied before. You will be slowing down enemies in 3 different ways with each shot. 4 for those who can be poisoned. On the rightmost side of the tree we want to get the Lion's Arrow fast. The perk allows you to cast a projectile spell each time you fire a fully drawn shot. Ice Storm is a very good spell for this. It can hit multiple enemies in front of you, has a secondary effect of punishing the target's movement speed, and in the slow time mode you can apply it many times to multiple enemies. Unfortunately, you will lose this combo if you insist on playing pure vanilla. You may still just switch from bow and arrow to spellcasting from time to time, especially in slow time, but remember about 45 magicka enchantments then, and potions, as dual cast of Frost Cloak will eat up most of your magicka and the Atronach will make it regenerate at a snail pace. Speaking of magic effects and stuff, here we go with the destruction perks. Quite unsurprisingly, we take all the frost perks. Chilling Frost is particularly important as it applies 15% weakness to frost to the targets of your frost spells. At Hostage Junction will add another 25 to that, and in the end, with some fortified alchemy gear, you will be able to make more than 60% weakness to frost poisons. This gets rid of the main problem with frost spells, the amount of enemies who are highly resistant to it. This means we also want dual casting. Dual cast Frost Cloak will have much wider range than one hand cast, which means plenty of nearby enemies will get up to 40% weakness to frost, and then you can select those you wish to make even weaker with a poison. Winter's Grasp will add another way of paralyzing enemies, those who are below 25% of their max health in this case. Elemental Shield will grant you 50% frost resistance, which means your frost resistance total will be at the cap most of the times. I still think this perk is optional, as usually against mages I went for one word become ethereal and sneak shots. And then there is light armor, which we need to treat with high priority due to the inefficient sense of fashion. Keen senses combined with our meager smithing will make a major difference, pushing your armor rating up to almost 400 in the end. Low armor rating characters also need mobility, so all the right hand side perks are going to be of top priority, especially as always evasive sprint. It means 50% less damage from everything when you sprint, and with your attribute spread and the agility perk you should be able to sprint all the time. It is also super easy belly and inconvenience to avoid all damage by simply running out of dodge when you have the slow time shout and are capable of running as fast as this girl can, so the 20% extra damage from the War Dancer should be in effect most of the time. We also have a few perks in speech, the shout perks of Tonal Harmony to heal all attributes each time we shout, and 2 ranks of Words of Power to make all our shouts more effective. I decided against Dovazulan as I don't use Summer Mist enchantments this time around, so I can't pair it with the Deep Breath effect. The vanilla shout enhancers were used instead, an Amulet of Talos with his blessing active almost all the time. You could always use a little bit of restoration loop if you feel like that isn't enough, but since our most used shout is the slow time, we can extend its duration with a Fortify Alteration potion, which I did as often as I could. This combo just never gets old. Now in alchemy, we have a healthy mix of potion and poison perks. We definitely want Benefactor ASAP, as we need Fortify Archery and Fortify Destruction potions to reach peak efficiency. Fortify Archery because combat archers need all the damage buffs they can possibly squeeze out of this game, on legendary difficulty especially, and we don't even maximize enchanting here, so yeah, the potion is rather crucial. Fortify Destruction, well, for the same reason, but also our cloak spell will get yet another increase to its range from it, which means more enemies with weakness to frost and slow effect. Stimulants and adrenaline obviously to increase our mobility when under the influence. Remember about stews, by the way, cooking is underrated. The poisoner and concentrated poison all ranks, as we have quite a few easy to craft cheap ones that we will use at all times, like a poison combining the slow effect with weakness to magic, which you can craft very easily and cheaply from a salt pile, creep cluster and a death bell, all rather common ingredients. Possibly the easiest way of making a weakness to frost poison is by combining white cap with elf's ears. It will, sadly, also restore enemy magicka, but as long as you don't use it against boss level spellcasters, you should be just about fine. For the gear we have a highly honed hunting bow enchanted with frost damage. I did the enchanting for this one myself because it isn't likely you can find a powerful enough hunting frost bow in the world. This is mainly for style, but also for the rather rapid rate of fire. If you don't care about that, simply use the best frost damage bow you can get your hands on. Then we need to wear 3 items of peerless archery, a circlet, a ring and the gauntlets. Frankly, the generic peerless archery circlets never came in the right colors. I wanted a silver and sapphire one, so I enchanted it myself, meaning I ended up being 4 points short of a peerless archery item on my head. Another inefficient style choice is the Winter Hold Guard armor, which I wore with pride, and with the best Fortify Health enchantment I was able to concoct with an Enchanter's Elixir enchanting mastery perk and a grand soul gem. Then we have the Predator's Grace boots to get some extra stamina regeneration, and the perfect muffle effect, which means we can sneak successfully without many perks in sneak. Finally, of course, the Amulet of Talos, for the reasons I should think are obvious by now. My dear viewers, just watch the video. And here is the list of the main spells and shouts. Yes, very early in the game you may need Frostbite and Frost Rune to practice your destruction. As soon as the Cloak spell is available to you, start using it every combat. It will take a while before you can dual cast it, but it should be somewhat useful even in its basic form. The slow secondary effect of Frost spells will allow you to keep your distance. One word of Whirlwind Sprint can help with that even more. It has a very short cooldown, meaning you can use it several times per fight. Become Ethereal, again, even one word can be of immense help against dragons if you time it right. Slow time will let you to wreck, just wreck everything, calmly apply all the poisons you need applied and greatly improve your speed advantage. Of course, Ice Form and Frost Breath can also be used, they suit the concept well, but those 3 shouts seem to overshadow them completely. So let's sum up. You shouldn't leave the house without a good bow, Amulet of Talos, Frost Cloak and some poisons of slow. The basic poison of slow requires salt and a death bell, so it's rather easy to make a batch of those. Then at least one word of all 3 favorite shouts should be acquired as soon as possible. This will unlock the gist of your combat style, so you can make the build fully operational pretty early. You will need to be extra careful when heading against spellcasters and dragons. Against wizards, keep a few poisons of paralysis. Against the dragons, remember to enhance your archery and resistances with potions, and use one word to become ethereal as soon as they breathe. Frost-breathing dragons should be considerably easier to deal with than the fire dragons. In the end, your crowd control and speed advantage will be such you can safely start looting the current dungeon even as your enemies approach. It will take them so much time to reach you. So this build is done now. You should be able to retrofit it into vanilla rather easily, so here, are you happy now? Can you please like the video and subscribe? I'm also begging for money lately, so, you know, as soon as I can make YouTube my actual job, the volume and quality of my content should improve. So throw a few bucks in my subscribe star bucket if you can, if you may, if you would be so kind, sir, madam, please. Most importantly though, have fun with the build, share your Skyrim experiences in the comments, and come back for more. We will see each other again, guys. Bye bye.
Okay, in this next video,
You
right?
haven't even showed me the other one.
In this next one, that's the one that's legit uncomfortable to watch.
They're all uncomfortable to watch.